And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report today on the 12th of April, 2026. And I think I got the. Did I get the box office right? No, I think I had You, Me, and Tuscany at number 3, not 4. But I know I got the first two right. Super Mario Brother Galaxy movie made our $69 million in the week 2, dropping only 47.6%. Fantastic drop. Project Hail Mary continues to have these great drops, only 22.3% with 24.5 million. Drama had a really good drop with a 39.4 million, dropping to 8.7. You, Me, and Tuscany debuts at 8 million, and Hoppers rounds out the top 5 with $4.1 million, dropping only 29.7. That's with Mario in theaters right now. Now, I'll point something out with Hoppers and Scream 7 a little bit later because I don't know what the deal is with what happened last week with them. But we'll get to that when we get to that. First off, Super Mario Galaxy movie. Manor 69 million dropped only less than 50%, made $628 million. It's still having a really great run. I mean, it already made all its money back in its opening week at a budget of 110, as you can see right there. And then probably a marketing budget of about another 100 million. You're looking at a film that had to hit at best 330, 320, not even, to break even. This film did that and did it easily. It just shot the moon, quite frankly, for its budget. If it ended on that 370, it would have had actually a nice little profit. But that was just the opening weekend, my friends. No. The reign of Mario continues. 628 million is still a fantastic number. A number which, once again, if it ended its run here, you're still looking at a film that may clear $200 million in profit. And Universal knows that even if this film doesn't make as much as the original, which based on the trajectory it's got going on right now, I would probably be leaning towards that being the case. It's not going to make as much as the original. It opened on not a significant amount less, but about 10-ish million less. Actually, looking at it, it's about 14 million if I'm going to round it up, roughly. But about 14 million less. And the original made $1.3 billion. Now, do I think it's going to be a $1 billion film? Right now, I'd lean towards yes. $1 billion plus. This still feels like a very comfortable range to put it at, especially because it just doesn't have anything to hurt it for the next couple weeks at least. And even then, Mandalorian and Grogu is probably the only real headliner competition. The Sheep Detectives, it looks like it's going to be a cute film. I just don't think it's going to be high profile enough to really hurt Super Mario Brothers. Plus, Mandalorian and the Sheep Detectives do not have the same direct audience that these films do. Actually, weirdly enough, Sheep Detectives has a better audience, comparative audience than this. But let's not mince words. The people who would go see Super Mario Brothers are probably fans of Star Wars, at least a chunk of them. So Mandalorian and Grogu may still very well be on their plate. Otherwise, like I said last time, that really does not have any competition until you get to Toy Story 5. But it's going to have a few bumps along the way. But until then, it's just going to keep raking in that money. So good for Universal. They definitely earned a big hit. And they've got a couple other big films coming out. I believe they're the ones that got Christopher Nolan's Odyssey movie coming out this year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Project Hail Mary made $24.5 million, like I said, dropping 22.5%, and has now crossed the $500 million mark. Congratulations for that film. Absolutely, you're looking, and it's, at this point, it is now in the profit range. It is now, I think the term is in the black, that is what the profit is. That's when you have made money. In the reds when you've lost money. Apparently in the blacks when you've made money. Why not in the green? Money is green. I don't know. But yeah, over $500,000 now, and still making money. I think that's the important thing. It's still making money because just like with Mario, it has not had anything that would really hurt it competition-wise. We do have Lee Cronin's The Mummy coming out this week, which I'll be seeing, but that's not a direct comparison. Like, yeah, it's going to lose screens and some level of audience to newer releases coming out. Michael's the same way. It's going to be the big boy on the block for the end of April. So it definitely will lose something to Michael. But really, I guess Star Wars would be the best comparison. Sci-fi, family-friendly, based on an IP that we know. That one would probably be the one that really kind of puts the kibosh on its momentum, whatever. But Michael's going to hurt a little bit. Sure, the Mummy might hurt it a bit. I mean, every new release hurts a previously established release. Almost always. Very rarely does a film ever go up as opposed to going down. It happens once in a while, but not very often. So I don't know where I see this film ultimately landing. Does it have maybe another 90 million left in it worldwide to, cross the $600 million range? It's possible. I don't think that's out of the question, honestly. Not even 90, like 89.4 million. I mean, how much do I think it has left domestically? Is the question. If it takes another solid drop next week, which is very possible, again, The Mummy is going to steal some audience, but not a lot. You're looking at a film that's probably going to be somewhere in the mid-teens. Not to mention the weekday numbers. And then it might take a bigger drop with Michael just because of the theaters being taken. But I mean, realistically, I could see the film having anywhere between, say, 20 and 25 million left in it domestically. 20 to 30 million is what I meant to say. Maybe 35 at most. We need to be very clear about that number. At most, domestically left. But I could be wrong. Like, maybe this week comes, The Mummy does well enough, but it doesn't hurt it at all. And maybe you see barely like a 10% drop, which would mean that it doesn't even drop below 20 million, roughly. So, I mean, theoretically, it's possible. That's domestic, mind you. There's still the international. I'd say, yes, crossing 600 million is still very much within the realm of reality for this film. Just like I think that Mario very much will still be $1 billion film. We just got to wait and see what the long-term numbers are going to look like. Like, if we get to next week and the film is only in the 700 some odd millions, not maybe more in the 800 millions, then I might have to take a step back from Mario. But as it stands, this film is profitable. It's 200 million is a big budget, but as far as I know, it's a $100 million marketing budget, as far as I know. Which would mean, roughly speaking, the third is taken out. You need to make 450. It did that. So yeah, honestly, even if you did want to go with, because some people say it's about a 50%. It all varies with different theaters. Some theaters take 50. Some people take a quarter. Theaters take a quarter. So you average it out, because every theater is a little bit different. So you average it out to a third taken away. But even if you did the 50%, it might not be profitable, but it's getting close to being profitable. So we'd have to wait and see what will happen. Well, either way, though, it couldn't have happened to a nicer film. Yes, it's based off an existing movie, or existing book, but let's call it what it is. It's an original movie by all accounts. Because you can't really define an original movie by the fact that it's based off a book. If it's never been adapted in any way beyond the book, then I would say that's an original IP. Let me put it this way: it's an original IP, as opposed to just being another comic book movie. And I love comic book movies. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. I'm a Supergirl. I'm looking forward to Clayface. I'm kind of foaming at the mouth for Doomsday. But let's be honest, those aren't original ideas. Those are ideas that are being adapted from so much lore. But with something like this, it is one book that gets adapted. And you do have to make you do make changes in adaptation. So I think it is fair to call a film that is at least based off of one book a original idea. Now, when you start making sequels, that's when things kind of start to change up, and it's no longer based off an original. Well, it's based off an original idea, but it's no longer an original movie. That's my thought process on it anyway. The drama made near 8.7 million. This film is actually apparently getting a lot of headway here. I mean, it didn't take a huge drop. It's at 42.7 million. It's on a $28 million budget, admittedly. I don't remember seeing the marketing very much for the film, which means the film is made on a cheap budget, and B, probably not a lot for marketing. So you're looking at probably somewhere between 15 and 20 million. I usually try to highball unless I can find the exact number, because it's safer to err on the side of caution when you're doing these numbers than try to be nice to the film. So I'm going to guess 20. that means the film's made on just under 50 million, which means you need to make just under 75 million to break even. Roughly speaking, more like 72 million if we do the math. Now, it's not there. It's probably not going to get there, but the fact is it went from 26 million to 42, and it had a very nice drop. That's something to keep an eye on. A24 is starting to quietly become a not profit-driven studio, but a studio that actually makes profitable films. But well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the drama is. I'm at a point right now where I can't see multiple films during the week like I used to. It's just a matter of finding the time and money. But I want to try to make an effort, especially in May, when I know for a fact that there's going to be multiple films coming out on the same day that I would want to see. I want to try to make an effort to at least catch 2 movies a week if I can. We'll look at the coming weeks in a little bit at the end of the video. But for now, You, Me, and Tuscany debuts with $8 million. I don't know how well the film is doing. I haven't heard anything really about it. I barely remember the trailer for it, which against an $18 million budget, $8 million could be worse. It's not going to be a profitable film, sadly. For every Mario, you get a You, Me, and Tuscany. And that's no shade against the film. The film might be lovely, but that's just what happens sometimes. But again, I barely remember the trailer for it, so it's not surprising that it didn't do that well. Okay, Hoppers. And by this extension, Scream 7. 4.1 million. It stands right now at $335 million. Now, you might be asking the question, wait a minute, didn't last week you say it was at $530 some odd million? Why is it now down to $354 million? Well, I did say that because that's what it said, along for some reason, Scream 7. Now, I don't know what that was about, because every once in a while, something's going to happen. Someone's either not admitting right, or someone is being a dick, or someone's kid gets involved. But you just see a number that pops up. Remember, like, when both Kung Fu Panda and Despicable Me, in, like, the first week was reading, like, 3 billion or 9 billion, someone was doing something stupid with the numbers, and then whoever was admitting the site had to come in and fix it. Like, what the hell are you doing? Stop it. I wonder if that's something that happened here. And I wonder if it had to do something to do with the Easter weekend, because we did have a holiday last weekend. All I know is, look, Box Office Mojo is, by and large, a very trustworthy site. You can trust the numbers with Box Office Mojo 9 times out of 10. Easy. 95 times out of 100. But every once in a while, some sort of hiccup happens where BS like that happens. And not that it's like, oh, you're impeding my work, my integrity is broken. No, but for any of us who want actual facts, that's problematic. Maybe they thought they heard something, or thought they were getting some bad information that said that's what happened, and then they realized, oh nope, that was bad information. We got to make sure that it's not the right information, or we got to make sure that we got to correct the information and get the right stuff. I mean, that's possible, but still, guys, I mean, you gotta keep on the ball. I'm sorry, I don't like the idea of using the term "do better" or "be better," especially because I've had that used against me in the dumbest way possible, against someone who was either trying to legit rage bait or was just being a complete and utter dumbass. Be better. You're an idiot. But in this case, guys, you got to do better. Like, because you get people who are trying to look at this for real information, and you have huge discrepancies in information like that. So that's just my take. But I mean, look, I've said that this film, which is made on $150 million, probably didn't even have $100 million in marketing, if we're being honest. Probably had closer to like $75 million. So you're looking at a film that had to hit $25 million. It had to basically then hit about $337 million. So the good news is, assuming I got my numbers right, and I could be wrong, even if I highballed it to 250, that means the film has that 375. It's not there yet, but it'd be getting close to it. But as it stands, at least if my numbers are correct, which at least the math is right. I don't know if the numbers are correct. I'll look into that more. It made $354 million, which, it's not a huge win, but it's not a loss. And any movie that can make you a little bit of money, or even if it's just $1 million, even if you break even, That is better than a loss. So good for Hoppers, at least. I enjoyed the film for what it was. Then we have another BTS World Tour. Look, why do we care? I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that, start turning into that grumpy old man. It's like, I don't get it. But how many BTS World Tour things do we have coming to screens half the time? I don't know. I just feel like that's over almost 1,200 screens. I feel like certain films like Project Hail Mary lost 90, Hoppers lost 40. I feel like films lost screens that shouldn't have lost screens to this. But that's my opinion. And again, that's not throwing shade at you if you like the BTS stuff or anything like that. I'm just saying I don't personally, I don't get why we advertise these in movie theaters. I get it that it's a way for people to experience these tours, like the Eras tour is one of those exceptions. It made like over $200 million in theaters, if I remember correctly. But I get it. That's a way for fans to experience it without having to spend all the money to go get a ticket. But I don't know. If maybe for like a special Fathom event, make it feel like an act going to the concert, I could get behind that. But it's not. It's not, unfortunately. Faces of Death. It's a horror film. I don't know much about it. I mean, yeah, I just don't know much about it. I saw the brief trailer for it. I'm like, this. I don't go to a lot of horror films to begin with. I still go to them, but I pick and choose my horror films a little bit. Like, I'm definitely seeing The Mummy this week. I'm definitely seeing that. But there's just types of horror that I do not want to deal with. And it's not even that I'm like, oh God, I'm so scared. It's less that I'm scared, more like I do not find these entertaining. I do not find this type of concept entertaining. 9 times, like more and more lately, it's like, oh no, they lost, or oh no, this man's life is destroyed. They didn't defeat the evil. Like, wow, like we've just become so defeatist, haven't we? Like with like horror movies, and like I get the whole idea of having like dun 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 a stinger at the end of the film, like, or it's the end, or is it? But that doesn't always have to be the case. I feel like most horror movies these days, that is the case. Like there's no real, there's no happy ending. And that I get, that sounds weird. That sounds so old school to me. It's like, I want a happy ending with my horror film, but I do sometimes. I want things to be okay in the end sometimes. And it makes it hard to watch horror movies sometimes because I'm like, oh God, what's the point? It has nothing to do with scares. It's more like we're just so depressing and nihilistic as a horror movie going society right now. Look, that's my take too, by the way. That's just my take. But I don't feel I'm entirely inaccurate with the take. Like I would struggle, if I'm being honest, like go over the last couple years of horror and like pinpoint every single film that ended on a good note for the characters. But I don't know. Film called Exit 8 made $1.4 million. I don't see a man becomes increasingly desperate, realizes he's trapped in a subway station, needing to complete a mission to get out. Okay, that's at least kind of interesting. And it's a foreign film too. Neon, or not a foreign film, but it had an international release. Action, adventure, horror, mystery. I think I might, maybe, have seen a trailer for this. I think. I wonder if there's it says horror. I wonder if there's maybe a supernatural element or like there's a monster in the subway. I'd be down for that. If there's a monster in the subway, always down for a monster in the subway. Great Awakening, 1.2 million. This one was a foreign. No, it wasn't. This was not a foreign film. One of the most defining. Oh yeah, Ben Franklin and Reverend George Whitfield. Again, these films don't have a huge audience but they have a loyal audience and they have a faithful audience. I don't mean that as a crack against faith or anything like that. Because the film clearly was good enough to not drop a lot, despite the fact it didn't open strong. I think it opened. I don't even think it opened to a 2 million. Yeah, it barely opened over 2 million, but it took a really solid drop, only 37.7. For the people who saw the film and liked it, I wish it opened higher for you. Like even if it only opened at like say $5 or $10 million, you take a drop like that against 5 or 10 million, you're having a good time. I don't know how much the film is also made on either, so maybe it's a really cheap film. Let's see. Reminders of him and are $1 million roughly, so 84 million. It's in the profit range, so good for Universal. Ready or Not, Here I Come, Ready or Not 2, made under $1 million. It's unfortunately kind of done its run. The first one did pretty well. This one not so much. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Horrendar, The Revenge, almost 700 grand. That's also done pretty much. It's a domestic run. Scream 7's pretty done. I'm not gonna go over that. They Will Kill You, man. That came. You know what this film feels like for me, even though it made a lot more money than this. The Killing Game or The Killer's Game with Dave Bautista, Ben Kingsley, Pom Clementine, like all that. It feels a little bit like that. And Sophia Patel was in there too. It feels a little bit like that, where it's like it was a movie that I enjoyed. It was stupid, it was wacky, but I enjoyed it. That just came and went like a fart in the wind. Didn't do well. This did better. This did better than Killer's Game, but not by much. Goat is pretty done its run, 300 grand. Might cross over into 186 million by the end of this run. And then Undertone, I guess we'll talk about that real quick. Almost 20 million. Might end up rounding out to 20 million when it's all said and done. But because of the unique because it was on such a minor budget, probably did a lot of online marketing, it's going to be just fine. So let's talk about Lee Cronin's The Mummy real quick. Where do I think that's going to land? Do we have reviews for that out yet? Let's find out. Let's see. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Do we have reviews for this yet? I've heard the initial react, like fan screenings or certain people who got to see the film early was giving it mixed reviews. I don't know if that's the case though, or people who had like inside knowledge. Films coming out, anything? Do we have it yet? Let's see, Newborn. We don't have Lee Cronin's The Mummy yet. Yeah, it's not up yet for its box office, unfortunately. But okay, if Mario takes another draw, because again, Lee Cronin's The Mummy will take a little bit of business. It's a new release, sure. But let's not mince words. That's not a movie that's going to be hurting Mario, really, in the grand scheme of things. Let's just let's be as nice as possible with the drop off, and say in both directions. Just say it's a clean 50-50. 47.6% this week, with no heavy competition against it next week. I think 50 is frankly might drop less. I'm going to say 50. Just say 50. Which means if we just round that up to the 69 to 70, let's just say it ends up making 35 next week, which would be still a respectable number. Does Lee Cronin's The Mummy make over 35? No, I do not think so. Not saying it couldn't. It could, but these low-budget horror films don't generally open that strong to begin with. Now, I could definitely see high teens, low 20s. Easy. That's an easy number to hit. But I don't know realistically if that's going to be the case. So I'm going to be conservative, put it in the low 20s. Okay, that's more being optimistic if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say low 20s, which means I would still put it, that means I put it above Project Hail Mary, but below Mario. So Mario, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, Project Hail Mary. Based on what we're seeing here, I'm going to go, based on what I saw for the numbers with You, Me, and Tuscany, around 69%, which is fine. I'm going to go the drama still. I'll still go You, Me, and Tuscany, even if the Hopper Sticks are a small drop. It's still going to be too low for You, Me, and Tuscany. So yeah, I'll put You, Me, and Tuscany at the end there. So again, Super Mario Brothers Galaxy, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, Project Hail Mary, the drama, and You, Me, and Tuscany. That I feel at least confident about those first three. by what measure, like what measure of confident I feel, that I couldn't tell you. But anyway, and then and let's just again check over some of the stuff we got coming out this year again. Which one did I want to look? Oh, Universal. That's right. The Universal. Who else has? What else does Universal has? Lionsgate's got Michael, which if that's going to be as big as they say, they need that win. What else? What else? Again, I know I know they're the ones doing Odyssey. Uh, Now, Disclosure. Oh, they're the ones doing Disclosure Day. Okay, they got Disclosure Day, which looks interesting, to say the least. Minions and Monsters. Yeah, that's gonna be a big one. The Odyssey gonna be huge. Man, One Night Only. Oh, I think I know the gist of that. It's a comedy. Yeah, apparently the two people are trying to find love on the one night a year where sex is legal. I guess that's one way for population control. Let's see here now. Otherwise, what else does Universal have? Forgotten Island. I'm looking forward to that. The trailer was nice. Other Mommy. I have no idea what that is. It's suspense. Okay, Okay. I don't know if it'll be a moneymaker, but there you go. Anything else for the rest of the year? Fokker-in-Law. I don't know if they're Violent Night 2. I'm very much looking forward to that. But otherwise, their last big hit probably is going to be Forgotten Island. Look, there's a very reasonable argument to say that they could be the highest grossing studio of the year this year. If I remember correctly, I believe it was Warner Brothers last year. Was it Warner Brothers or Universal? I could get my book, but I think it was Warner Brothers. I think. Then it was Disney. I remember that, and I think Universal maybe came directly behind it. Either way, though, that's my thoughts on the box office this week. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.